Buongiorno a tutti. G'day, it's Dale here.
And buongiorno, it's Mike.
We're here in front of the Pala Alpa Tour here in Turin on the ground at Eurovision. Now, we've just had the second rehearsals of semi-final one, the first few acts, like the first five, I think we had.
First five.
And so we're going to run through and just give our thoughts on what we saw here. Okay, Michael, you were in the press centre, so you were able to see Albania. I couldn't see it on the online press centre. So tell us, what was it like?
Yeah, good high energy opening as we expected from Albania. Lots of choreography, lots of blues, purples, pinks. She has the 5 dancers, 4 male and 1 female, and she interacts with them, shall we say.
Okay, so basically there's been a lot of news about it being a bit risque, and there was this whole thing about the photo. Is it risque?
I think it's probably no, in a general sense. Maybe for Eurovision, there's a bit of gyrating and stuff going on, let's just put it that way.
Okay, but overall, do you think it's a really sort of positive thing for Albania? Is it looking good? Is it what you expected?
Yeah, if anything, it's probably a little muted than what I expected.
Okay.
We have a few sort of air blasts, smoke blasts. We don't have any, or we didn't have any pyro on that run through, but perhaps they'll add that a little later on.
Exactly. We don't always see everything they're going to show in the actual contest, because it costs money to make those pyros go, even in rehearsals. Okay, well, next up, who did we have after Albania? We had Latvia. I'll start on this one. I thought it was really high energy, really colourful, very much like its national final performance, just kind of a bit bigger. It does look like they were affected by the LED stuff at the same time as well, though.
Yeah, very much so. You can imagine the entire background is supposed to be that sort of animation, highly bright, and we've got that big sort of black hole. But you're right, there's a lot going on. They do camera cut to all the different band members, perhaps even a little on the chaotic side. But apart from that, it is high impact, and they bring in the fun.
Yeah, what I liked about it, high energy. They're clever with the LED use on the floor. They're making the best that they can, so you're still getting some of those shots and some tight shots on them where there is a bit of LED in the sun. So I think they work well. I'd like to see more focus on the main guy in the green. I feel like they're focusing on the other band members maybe too much. It's good to see everybody. Yeah. It's good to get that, but he's the star of the show. And there's times when he's singing like, I want to see him. I want to see that energy.
They certainly make a moment of the sax solo as well. He gets quite a bit of time solo on stage. So yeah, expect a sax guy.
And they're not saying the word, if you want to know that as well. No. Okay, who did we have third up?
We had Lithuania.
Yes.
Monica.
Oh, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one after those 2 big high opening acts. You could think of this as a palate cleanser perhaps. Again, I'm not sure if that backdrop is affecting the overall impression of it. Look, she connects with the camera really, really well. There's a couple of lovely little split screen moments that they are sort of reminiscent of the national final, but overall I'm not sure about the impact of grabbing perhaps a televote, for example.
Yeah, look, I have to say the positive is her again. She sings it really well. She looks great down the camera, very much like we're expecting to see, but they've been very open about the fact that this sun thing has affected them, and you can kind of tell. They're saying that I'm not sure how much more you would have been able to give to this. I basically feel like it's a great studio setting, like in a TV studio song. I feel like it's being a bit swallowed up by the Eurovision stage in the moment. She's doing everything she can, but I think, I think it was struggling before it got here, and it's struggling even more now.
Yeah, she is static. She does not move. She stands in the one spot. So even if they'd gone out to the satellite stage and made it, that would have made it a bit smaller.
True, that's a good point. Who do we have next? Was it Switzerland?
We certainly had Switzerland after that.
Your thoughts?
Look, it's about connection to the camera for him, isn't it? It's such an intimate kind of song. There are a lot of nice small sort of visual effects that perhaps without a big prohibited sign in front of you on the TV screen may come across a little better. He does, a fair few arm movements. I'm not sure I'm too keen on those, but overall I think it's what we expected from a Switzerland performance. This was never going to be high energy.
Yeah, look, there's a lot I like about this. It's very intimate. I think for the vast majority he sings it really well. It sounds like the studio. That big note he goes for, he might be holding himself back a bit, but he kind of didn't really hit it in it. But I think I really love the intimacy when it's soft with him as well, and the projections are good. Yeah, the armography is a bit this rather than like slow and moving, and I don't know, it doesn't look very natural for him. I don't know, hopefully that starts to smooth out as the rehearsals go on, and by the time he gets to the stage it might just feel a bit more smoother, because I do think 75% of it's really good, but that 15, 20, 25%, it's a bit awkward.
It feels deliberate. It feels like they want to be childlike kind of movements.
Yes.
So, I can see maybe that's what they're going for. Look, it's very much him and his face a lot of the time, and then you have these visual effects.
The projections look good.
Yeah.
I like some of the projections.
You're right. I'm with you. I'm about 75% to 80% of this. I'm a bit of a thumbs up on this one.
But yeah, the other rest I'm just really not keen on at the moment. But I think it'll get better. And we finished on Slovenia with their disco ball. Thoughts?
If I went to this disco, I'd be heading to the exits. Look, unfortunately, the boys do what they can with this song. It is what it is. They do have the big disco ball that they wheel out. Unfortunately, you can see the wheels. It's just a very linear song, and there's not much happening as far as peaks, troughs, all that sort of stuff going.
I think this is one of those ones where you see those TikToks and you see those photos and you get excited, and then the reality comes on, and unfortunately I don't think it's lifted for what I was like, oh, disco ball, that's going to be great. It's just not quite working. The light coming off it seems to either be too bright, where you can't see it's a disco ball, or it's almost too... I don't know, too dark. I don't get the disco ball effect from a giant disco ball.
Exactly, that's exactly right. When you go to a nightclub and you hit the disco ball with the lasers or the lights, it's
shimmering
an effect. There is none of that. They do change the lighting mood throughout the song, and particularly come into the crescendo towards the end. But ultimately, I think it just feels a bit flat. And I hate to say that because, they are young performers and I don't want to kick them or anything like that. But, it's just lacking a little bit of impact for me at this stage.
Yeah, I'd have to say this is one where I thought the national final looks better. I really love this song. It's actually just outside my 10, so I was really rooting for them. But again, I think it just feels a bit messy. I feel like the idea was there and the execution hasn't quite come together. That drummer up top, he kind of just looks like he's just up there. It doesn't it's not like he's like floating on the disco ball. He's just kind of up in the air. But look, at least it distracts you, or at least you've got something to focus on with that disco ball, and not like that black sun kind of thing.
It certainly dominates the stage, and probably they look like they're sort of orbiting around sort of planet disco ball. So it's probably almost overshadowing the band almost.
It's almost in the way of them at times. I probably would have liked to spaced out a bit more as well.
It's big.
Okay, so out of the 5 we saw so far, who would you be your, I think, top so far from that 5?
That's a good one. I'm probably going to say Latvia. I thought Latvia really came across well. It is high energy. Unfortunately, perhaps that backdrop would add even more to it. But it would have been between them and Albania, I would have thought. It's a very tight package from Albania.
Yeah, I'd have to say Latvia to me stood out of those 5 for sure. This is looking really good, and it's going to be a bit of a bang. On the downside, I'd have to probably say, just in terms of what could have happened, I think Lithuania is probably the biggest disappointment for me. I think it's probably Slovenia and Lithuania, but Lithuania had a lot to give, and I just feel like it's really kind of she just looks a bit too alone out there, unfortunately.
Look, I'm kind of going to agree. I love the Lithuanian song. It is in my top 10 of the studios. Unfortunately, I don't think that is coming across in this kind of running order at this stage. Who knows? The juries may still go for the song. But overall, I think the most disappointing for me so far would be Slovenia.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised you were going to say that. All right, well, look, that's the first 5. We'll be back later today with the rest of the performances and see who are our top picks throughout the day.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
All right, catch you later.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.